is Alexander, and this is Discussion Board 7. This week we were asked to once again look at the magazine results, also the Harvard implicit test. We were also supposed to read Bobby Harrow's Cycle of Socialization and Cycle of Liberation, which I really liked that. I thought it was really cool. To me, it really explains a lot of how racism is created. It's not something you're born with, because we're all born, just a blank slate or a white piece of paper, and then, through our life experiences and the people we're in close proximity to, it kind of changes and develops the person we are. And that's interesting. It's kind of, maybe racism is kind of similar to being like a child molester. Most child molesters were previous victims of child molestation, and then they do it when they get older, and it's like disgusts me. But I also kind of have a little mercy on them, because it's like, if you were molested as a child, think how that would have changed your whole thought process. So we could contrast that with being racist towards, or prejudiced towards, a group or a race of people. And that cycle of socialization really helps you understand how you go from being a blank slate to not being a blank slate, maybe hating a certain group or things like that. It's just, you're conditioned through repetition and experience your whole life. You're changing every day. You're a different person. And I think if you are prejudiced towards a certain group of people, that you can't overcome it, but it's going to be a challenge for sure. Kind of like God, it's hard to unbelieve in something that somebody's told you for so long that's real, and it's obviously not. So when I took the Harvard implicit test, it said that I had a slight preference towards light-skinned people. So that would kind of fit in with that whole cycle of socialization, I was conditioned, raised by white people, in a family of white people, light-skinned people, or most of the people I came into contact with. So maybe I have a slight preference, even if it's implicit, towards light-skinned people. And then, obviously whether I act on that is one thing, and it's a whole nother thing, right? But it's an interesting thought. It's an interesting cycle, to say the least. The magazine results, I got, primarily the same thing everyone else got. It's a majority white women, white men on covers of magazines. The women were always attractive, good-looking women. I will say I was surprised that in my head I thought more women would be sexualized on the magazine covers, and when I actually did it, it kind of seemed to me like most of the women were kind of casually dressed. So that kind of shocked me a little bit, really. But I mean, so like, you grow up in America right now, and most of the people on TV are white. Most of the movies have white people in them. Most of the media outlets in general are predominantly white people, right? So in a way, you could say maybe we're conditionalized to like light-skinned people more, just because of the simple fact that it's the repetition of seeing them over and over and over and over and over again. But honestly, when you act on something, is completely different. And I would be very shocked to find that, I would personally be very astonished to find someone, and probably wouldn't believe them if they said that they have no preference to, if you really, really dug into their mind, that everybody has a preference towards a certain group of people and a certain skin color. It's got to be biological. I mean, it has to be. It has to be biological. I mean, it has to be psychological. It's a we're tribalistic animals. We're primates. The hope of us overcoming the fact that we are primates, people forget that. I mean, it's just something that every year it seems to me like the world's getting to be a better place, and every time I see a movie that has more than one black character in it, I think, all right, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. You know, how many minority characters are in a movie? It's like there's one black person, there's one Hispanic person, maybe an Asian person, but then 90% of the cast is white. So, look, I think that time is is going to be at a point someday where that's not really as big of an issue as it is today, because I even think today it's not really that big of an issue. I think we're starting to address the problems. Every year we're getting smarter as people collectively, you know. Uh, I mean, just like the things that children learn in schools today that maybe they learn in sixth grade, maybe I didn't learn it till eighth grade. I mean, we are gonna get smarter, and maybe we can outsmart our biological shortcomings and progress and transcend racism and prejudices. But that's kind of hard to believe that we'd ever completely overcome it. So that's it's definitely an interesting thing. I mean, I'm sure in my lifetime, I'm 25 now. I'm sure in 25 years, I'll look back and think, you know, things are a lot better than they were regarding race and prejudices than they were 25 years ago. I would be shocked to find out that we're less. I would be shocked to find if we were more racist in 25 years or more prejudice. But once again, it's our biology. So to ever really maybe someday everyone will just implicitly think these things, you know, but they won't ever act on them. And I guess maybe that's a perfect world. I'm curious to know what other people think. Thank you.